At my 23rd birthday party, Isabella showed up with her childhood friend to celebrate with me. I thanked them sincerely, but out of nowhere, she broke up with me on the spot. My sister, afraid I'd fall into a depression, sent me to Europe for 3 years. 3 years later, I came back. Isabella was already married. My friends came to the airport to pick me up, and somehow Isabella was there too. The same woman who dumped me in front of everyone 3 years ago suddenly had tears in her eyes. Felix, didn't you think about me at all these past 3 years? After 3 years, I was finally back in the city. I grabbed my luggage and saw a whole crowd of people as soon as I walked through the gate. Leading the pack was my childhood friend, Max. He pulled me into a solid hug. "Welcome back, Felix, our star designer." My friends cheered and laughed around me. I greeted each of them, but my eyes couldn't help but drift to the back of the crowd, to Isabella. She looked the same as always, slender and poised, still favoring those sharply tailored women's suits. Beautiful and distant. The crowd was lively, but she just stood there quietly, her gaze on me heavy. Max leaned in and whispered, "God knows how she found out. We definitely didn't tell her in the group chat." I looked away. My mind flashed back to my birthday party 3 years ago, when she'd inexplicably broken up with me. All because of the way I'd smiled and declined a birthday gift from her childhood friend, Evan. In Isabella's eyes, that meant I was looking down on him, this ordinary guy. Before I could pull myself from that sharp memory, Isabella had woven through the crowd and was standing in front of me. Her eyes were pink, her voice was hoarse, and she was holding a pair of leather gloves. "Long time no see. It's gotten cold here lately, and I know you never check the weather ahead of time, so I brought you these. Put them on before you go outside." The gloves were a classic black style I used to love. I instinctively took a step back, putting space between us. "No thanks, I'm not cold." Isabella's hand, holding the gloves, froze in midair. She looked embarrassed and hurt. "You're still angry, aren't you? You didn't contact me once in 3 years. Felix, did you really not think of me even once? Not even once?" The question was almost laughable. She was the one who broke up with me 3 years ago, not the other way around. Before I could respond, my friends had had enough. "Ms. Vance, you've got some nerve," one of them said with a smirk. "You're a married woman now, and you're running the Vance family business. It wouldn't look too good if the paparazzi caught you here, would it?" I took the opportunity to jump in, looking straight at her. "I heard you and Evan got married a year ago. Does he know you're here right now?" The color drained from Isabella's face. She took a step closer and lowered her voice, explaining almost directly into my ear. "I'm sorry. I never wanted to marry him." I turned my head and shot back, just as quietly, "You didn't want to marry him, but you broke up with me for his sake 3 years ago? Isabella, you really play fast and loose with people's feelings." I was being generous. A nicer way to put it was that she was recklessly confident. The truth was, she wanted to have her cake and eat it too. Isabella quickly avoided my gaze, trying to change the subject by holding up the gloves. "Felix, look, they're your favorite brand and style." I still remembered. "I bought them a long time ago, just waiting for you to come back." It was a brand I'd liked years ago, but my tastes had changed. My friends started guiding me toward the exit, leaving Isabella to deal with her own awkwardness. Just as we reached the airport entrance, a gentle, slightly fawning voice called out, "Felix, I heard you were back, so I came to pick you up." Evan walked toward us, dressed head to toe in the latest Dior menswear, his hair and makeup perfect, a triumphant smile on his face. He immediately spotted Isabella behind me and the black gloves in her hand. "Looks like I came at a bad time?" Max exploded, stepping in front of me to confront Evan. "Of course it's a bad time. When have you ever shown up at the right time? That fake smile of yours is disgusting. First, you steal Felix's girlfriend 3 years ago, and then you use some shady tricks to marry into the Vance family. What, you think you went from rags to riches?" Max's words were fast and vicious. Evan's face turned beet red. Our mutual friend, Tina, quickly stepped in to pull Max back. "Max, that's enough. Think about the scene you're making." She reminded him urgently, no matter what, he's Isabella's husband now. What if she gets mad and cancels that contract your family has with her company? Tina paused, then glanced at me, standing there silently. And if she takes it out on Felix, you'll just be making things worse. The moment Tina finished, the humiliated flush on Evan's face miraculously faded. He wasn't angry at all. In fact, he broke into a wide grin, as if he just heard the funniest joke in the world. Max, listen to you. Why would you think I used shady tricks? He calmly adjusted the collar of his Dior jacket. His eyes scanned everyone there before finally landing on me. Isabella was the one who chased me. When I proposed, there were drones spelling out my love for her over the entire waterfront. Not like some people who date for years and can't even get a ring on her finger. The crowd fell silent. Evan was pleased with the effect. He pretended to just notice the gloves in Isabella's hand and let out a surprised, "Oh, aren't those the gloves I bought for you the other day?" He walked over to her, his tone innocent and affectionate. "You said you were coming to the airport to pick up a foreign business partner. Did you meet them? I told you to give the gloves to him. A little gift from the Vance family since the weather turned cold. Why are you still holding them? A foreign business partner. So, she wasn't here for me. The gloves weren't for me." I looked up at Isabella. She looked away, flustered, and fumbled in her handbag for a slim cigarette, her hand trembling as she lit it. The pale smoke swirled around her face, making her pale expression seem even more desolate. "Evan," she said after a drag, her voice raspy with warning, "don't push it." The warning was weak, with no force behind it. Evan immediately rushed to her side, linking his arm through hers and pressing against her affectionately. "Honey, I knew you'd never stay mad at me. You spoil me too much." He gave her arm a little shake, then turned to look at me, his smile beaming. "Mr. Price, my apologies. I hope we haven't made a scene." When I got home, my sister, Claire, was waiting for me with a hot cup of tea. Tina told me all about the drama at the airport. "Good for you for walking away. You should treat them like they're invisible." Her brow was furrowed. "That idiot Isabella and that Evan guy, neither of them are any good." I sipped the ginger tea, the warmth spreading from my throat to my stomach, chasing away the chill from the airport. Seeing that I was relatively calm, Claire continued, "It's true. Isabella proposed to Evan a year ago." She scoffed, her tone full of contempt. Before the proposal, Evan's family was at the Vance house almost every day, making a scene. Drones, citywide headlines, they made such a spectacle, making sure everyone knew. She paused and leaned in closer. I set down my cup, any lingering turmoil in my heart now completely settled. "So, do you need your big sister to step in?" Claire asked, cracking her knuckles with a grin. "Want me to make them get a divorce, or maybe cause some trouble for her business? Just say the word, and I'll take care of it." Her eagerness made me laugh. "No need, sis. You don't go back. Especially not for a horse as confused as Isabella." I met her gaze evenly. "Besides, I already met someone I like in Europe." Claire froze for a second, her worry vanishing, replaced by pure, unadulterated joy. She slapped her thigh. "I knew it. Mom and Dad didn't want you going to Europe alone, but I was the one who insisted on sending you. See? My instincts are always right." My sister's glorious self-satisfaction lasted less than 2 days before the Vance family came calling. It was Isabella's father, Mr. Vance. He brought a host of expensive gifts, a luxury watch, cufflinks, and sat on our living room sofa with a humble posture, sincerely apologizing for Isabella's behavior 3 years ago. "Felix, my boy, I know our Isabella did you wrong." He patted my hand, his eyes a little red. "She was tricked by that man. Evan, our whole family was fooled. Isabella has had a terrible year. She can barely eat or sleep. She's a wreck." I pulled my hand away. "Is that so? When I saw her at the airport the other day, she looked much better than she did 3 years ago." The sorrow on Mr. Vance's face froze, and his expression turned awkward. "She's just putting on a brave face. It's all an act." I smiled. "Sir, I understand why you're here, and I appreciate you making the trip, but I'm already in love with someone else." I watched his face slowly register my words and continued. She's coming back from overseas soon, and we'll be getting engaged. After Mr. Vance left, my sister shook her head. Tut tutang. The nerve of the Vance family, thinking they can win you back with a few trinkets. I calmly cleared away the tea set. Isabella probably sent her dad to test the waters. So when you said you were getting engaged, Claire said, narrowing her eyes, were you just trying to get to them? I just smiled. The next morning, Max called me in a panic. Felix, you have to see what's trending locally. I groggily opened my phone. There it was, 8th on the local business trending topics. Price heir, dumped 3 years ago, returns to rekindle romance with Isabella Vance. I clicked on it. It was all posts from local paid accounts, spreading rumors that I had contacted the Vance family yesterday, seeking a reconciliation. There were a few blurry photos of Mr. Vance visiting my house, with captions that made it all sound official. An insider reveals that Felix Price deeply regrets his past and contacted the Vance family to make amends, hoping for a fresh start. The Vances personally visited him, and the two parties had a pleasant conversation. I had to laugh. Max was cursing on the other end of the line. This has the Vances written all over it. It's disgusting. They come to you, get rejected, and then flip the script to make it look like you're the one begging to get back together. Now the comments are full of people trashing you, saying you couldn't make it abroad and came back looking for a meal ticket. I scrolled through the comments. They were pretty nasty, but there were also plenty of rational people defending me, saying the rumors were obviously fake. Don't worry about it, I said, getting dressed. We have plenty of connections. This is nothing we can't handle. As soon as I got downstairs, I saw Isabella leaning against her car, waiting. She was wearing another suit, but her face was even more haggard than a few days ago, with faint dark circles under her eyes. She rushed over as soon as she saw me. Felix, I'm already having someone take care of those rumors online. It wasn't my family. It was Evan. Her voice was raspy, like she hadn't slept all night. Don't be angry. Evan, he might have been manipulated. I'm sure he wasn't targeting you on purpose. I stopped and looked her up and down. Do you think I'm that easy to fool? She froze. Yesterday, your dad came to my house. Besides your family and mine, who else knew? I scoffed. How could Evan have known all the details without an inside source? And let's just say, for the sake of argument, that he was being used. As his wife, if you can't even control your own husband, what right do you have to come talk to me? The words hit her hard, and her face went pale. Felix, move. I have things to do. Isabella hurried after me, her tone almost pleading. Please believe me, I'll handle this. Evan is emotionally unstable right now. We can't provoke him. I stopped and turned to face her. I'm not feeling too stable myself. How dare you come here and provoke me? Felix, let me explain. It's not what you think. That time at your birthday party 3 years ago, I was wrong. But can you please just listen to my explanation? Just once? I crossed my arms and stared at her coldly. Evan had just graduated from college. His family's business was in huge trouble, on the verge of bankruptcy. Then his father was suddenly diagnosed with late-stage liver cancer and needed money urgently. He wanted to meet some people at your birthday party, see if he could find an investor to help his family. But you rejected his gift right there in front of everyone. Isabella looked at me, her expression thoughtful. I know you didn't mean any harm, but to everyone else, it looked like you were looking down on him, humiliating him in public. He was already at his breaking point, and I didn't want him to suffer any more blows, so I acted impulsively and broke up with you. Her breath hitched, and her voice grew strained. I just wanted to make him feel better. Felix, but I never expected you to be so final. By the time I tried to find you the next day to explain and apologize, your sister had already put you on a plane to Europe. You blocked me on everything. The only way I could reach you was through email. Felix, I sent you hundreds of emails. You never replied to a single one. I listened quietly. The emails, I'd seen them. Every single one was heartfelt, full of regret. But so what? For another man's humiliation, she had turned me into a laughingstock in front of all my friends. And she thought a few words of explanation could wipe that away? I don't need a woman who would stab me in the back for another man, only to come crying back later, saying she loves me. It wasn't just that I didn't need it. I kind of hated her for it. Are you done? Isabella, that's a touching explanation. But Evan is your childhood friend. His family was falling apart, his father was sick, and instead of helping him yourself, you let him come to my birthday party to glad hand for connections? And when that didn't work, you stepped in personally and dumped me in front of all my friends to prop him up. Tell me, Isabella, I said, taking a step closer, staring her down, if you wanted to play the saint, why did you have to make it so complicated? My words left her pale and speechless. Her lips moved, but it took her a long moment to force out a sentence. He wouldn't accept my help. Oh, I said, as if it all made sense. So noble of him. Then how did this oh-so-noble Mr. Evan later scheme his way into marrying you with a child from God knows where? Isabella stumbled back, her eyes filled with panic. That was his family. His family did that. Evan, his family again. I cut off her ridiculous excuse. Are you going to tell me that his family also forced him to hire trolls to smear me online this time? Or that he had no idea it was happening? Isabella was completely at a loss for words. Her beautiful face was just a mask of helplessness. This was boring. So boring. I looked away and called back toward the house. Williams, get a few people out here and have her removed. The heat was cranked up in Max's apartment. But he was pacing in front of me like a headless chicken. Felix, what are we going to do about all this? I walked over to the floor-to-ceiling window and dialed an international number. When the call connected, I switched to another language, my voice steady. Vivian, when do you get in? The day after tomorrow? Great, I'll be waiting. But before you arrive, there's something I need you to handle for me from over there. I hung up and turned to see Max staring at me in shock. Felix, when did your German get so good? He looked at me in disbelief. I glanced down at my phone screen, at the gentle smile on Vivian's face in the photo I'd set as her contact picture. I met a very warm person in Europe. Her name is Vivian. She's German. Whenever we were together, she would patiently listen to my awful German and correct me over and over again. With a teacher like that, you pick it up naturally. Besides, it was right after Isabella and I had broken up. If I hadn't met the patient Vivian in a bar, I probably wouldn't have moved on so quickly. Max blinked, then stamped his foot in frustration. Come on, man. Is this really the time to be getting all romantic on me? He walked over, looking at me as if I were a lost cause. Aren't you worried? It's obvious Evan is out to destroy you this time. I looked up and gave him a reassuring smile. I am handling it. Vivian is one of the top cybersecurity experts in Europe. All she has to do is send Evan a link with a Trojan virus, and she can get me all the proof I need, the messages, the payment records of him spreading rumors and hiring trolls. Max's expression shifted from shock to doubt. But Evan's a college graduate, he's not stupid. Hacking his phone with a single text and a strange link. That seems impossible, right? He was right. Evan would never fall for something like that. But what if the text message comes from me? And what if the content of that message is a full audio recording of my conversation with Isabella at my front gate today? Do you think he'll click on it then? 2 days later, a small storm swept through the local social media circles. Isabella Vance, head of the Vance Corporation, was still hung up on her ex-boyfriend Felix Price, whom she had abandoned 3 years prior. Her old feelings for him were apparently still burning strong. The news spread like wildfire, complete with blurry photos of Isabella stopping me at the airport and handing me the gloves. Every post hinted that Isabella still had feelings for me and was even willing to divorce her husband for my sake. I was the one who had people post all of it. If Isabella wanted to play the part of the devoted ex, I was happy to help her broadcast that devotion to the world. And, at the same time, deliver a solid counterpunch to Evan. I wanted everyone to know that it wasn't me who was still hung up on Isabella, but her who was desperately chasing me. The effect was immediate. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Evan. Time Cafe, 3rd floor private room. We need to talk. It seemed he couldn't resist opening the gift I sent him after all. In the private room at the cafe, Evan sat across from me and slammed his phone down on the table. Felix, I knew you were up to no good coming back. You chose to walk away 3 years ago, so why bother coming back now? I picked up my lemonade and swirled it slowly. Maybe I just wanted to see how certain people managed to live their lives while I was gone. He instantly bristled. What's that supposed to mean? I mean, if I hadn't come back, I probably never would have known that your marriage was a sham from the very beginning. Evan's face went pale. If you hadn't come back, Isabella would have never talked about divorcing me. Oh, she wants to divorce you now? So you're scared? I looked at him and smiled. Evan, the one thing Isabella hates most is the scheming and greed of your family. But she still has a soft spot for you. After all, you grew up together. Evan's eyes flickered. I had clearly struck a chord. I leaned forward slightly and lowered my voice, as if I were genuinely trying to help him. If you really want to save this marriage, I can show you the way. First, cut off all contact with your blood-sucking family. Second, I said, my gaze fixed on him, use that child you have to your advantage. Make him your real bargaining chip. When the time comes, even if Isabella wants a divorce, do you think her parents will let her? The room fell silent. Evan stared down at his untouched coffee, lost in thought. The sky was already growing dark when I left the cafe. My phone buzzed in my pocket. It was a stream of messages from Max, asking how it went. I sent back a 2-word reply, done deal. I expected the Vance family to launch a full-scale PR campaign, denying everything and painting Isabella as a victim being harassed by her ex. It would have been the coldest but smartest move. But I had underestimated Isabella's obsession with me. The next morning, she used her verified personal account to post a public apology. Every single word was about me. 3 years ago, I hurt him impulsively. For these past 3 years, I have never forgotten him. The post set off a firestorm. Her heartfelt apology completely validated the rumors I had spread. CO Isabella Vance, still in love with her ex, madly devoted. How touching. So touching that I was instantly branded as the other man, the homewrecker, and became the target of public outrage. The call came from my dad. Felix, get home now. The atmosphere in the Price family villa was ice cold. My dad slammed the financial newspaper onto the coffee table. The front page headline featured a picture of Isabella's heartfelt face. That damn fool. His chest heaved with anger. If she had just issued a statement to clear the air, I would have respected her for it. But what is this? With one move, she's thrown both men under the bus. Is that love? She's destroying your reputation. My dad paced back and forth in the living room. She's so ruthless and decisive in business. How can she be as brainless as a lovesick teenager when it comes to her feelings? She's hopelessly stupid. He stopped abruptly and looked at me. Felix, I won't let you take the fall for this. He immediately called the director of the company's PR department. Issue a statement right now, and I want the wording to be as strong as possible. Just say that the Price Corporation has no relationship whatsoever with the Vance family. Not now and not ever. This was a declaration of war. My dad's statement hit the local business community like a depth charge. And the gift from Vivian arrived at the perfect moment. Every chat log and transaction screenshot proving that Evan had colluded with online trolls to smear me as a homewrecker was made public. The evidence was undeniable. Public opinion flipped on a dime. Backed into a corner, Evan had no choice but to release a written statement late at night. He apologized to me profusely, but threw his parents under the bus for everything. I only did it because my parents told me Felix was back. I acted foolishly and created a terrible misunderstanding. He had learned the first lesson I taught him very well. After the storm passed, Isabella started showing up at my house frequently, her attitude incredibly humble. The gifts she sent piled up in the gatehouse, designer clothes, limited edition watches, everything imaginable. But no one in my family budged. The butler turned her away time and time again, and my parents couldn't even be bothered to see her. A few days later, her patience finally ran out. I had just gotten home when her car blocked the main gate to the villa. Isabella got out, her face no longer showing the meekness of the past few days. It was replaced by a grim look of frustration and rage. Felix, do you really have to be so ruthless? I looked at her coldly. You're the one who was ruthless first. She sneered and walked closer, her eyes filled with a blatant threat. Don't forget, Max's family business relies on support from my family for most of its operations. And Tina, the biggest partner for her family's company, is also the Vance family. Are you really going to sacrifice your friends' futures just to get back at me? I clenched my fists. Shameless. Seeing my face pale, she seemed satisfied. Her tone softened, taking on an almost pleading quality. The next second, she did something that shocked me. Right there, in front of all the security guards and staff, she dropped to her knees on the cold pavement. Felix, if you hadn't come back, I could have pretended none of this ever happened. I would have never bothered you again for the rest of my life. But you did come back, she said, looking up, her eyes bloodshot. And I can't let you go again. When we were 20, under the fireworks outside the university town, I promised you that for the rest of my life, you would be the only one by my side. There was a collective gasp from the people around us. All I felt was how absurd and laughable it all was. I turned and walked through the gate, giving the butler a cold order. Williams, bring out all the gifts that woman sent me. Soon, all the beautifully wrapped boxes were brought out and piled in front of Isabella. I picked up the box on top and, without hesitation, tossed it into a nearby trash can right in front of her. Isabella, if you dare to harass me again, just try me. My girlfriend is coming back from Germany soon, and we're getting engaged immediately. I watched her expression freeze and smiled even more coldly. That's right, you're well connected. You work with a lot of people. My girlfriend might not be as powerful as you, but she has other ways to make your family's life a living hell and run your business into the ground. If you don't care about that, then by all means, keep trying. My comment about getting engaged was meant to be the final straw for Isabella. I never expected my parents to take it seriously. 3 days later, the Price family formally announced my engagement to Vivian. The wording was official, the tone resolute. The Vance family became a laughingstock. The night the announcement was made, a torrential downpour began. Fat raindrops hammered against the villa's floor-to-ceiling windows. That's when Isabella showed up. She hadn't driven. She stood at the main gate, soaked to the bone, looking like a stray cat abandoned by the world. She reeked of alcohol and rain. The security guards tried to stop her, but she was like a madwoman, pounding her fists on the cold iron gate. Felix, get out here. I stood at my second-floor window, looking down at her dispassionately. Vivian came over and handed me a glass of warm milk, her eyes following my gaze. Felix, why did you have to come back? Isabella's cries cut through the rain, thick with desperation. If you hadn't come back, everything would have been fine. If you hadn't come back, I wouldn't have had any hope. I wouldn't be this pathetic and humiliated. I took a sip of milk, my face expressionless. What a ridiculous line of reasoning. It was as if she believed that as long as I disappeared forever, she could have kept her marriage and her career with a clear conscience. It was me who had shattered her peace. Since you came back, that must mean you forgave me, right? Her voice was filled with a self-righteous sense of injury. They say you have to go through hell and back to win someone over, and I've been through enough hell. Don't you think 3 years was enough? I declared my love for you to the whole world while I was married. Wasn't that enough? Beside me, Vivian's brow furrowed deeply. She'd heard enough. She took my hand, and we hurried downstairs. She threw open the heavy front door of the villa. A blast of cold wind and rain rushed in. Vivian stood in front of me protectively and, in her less than fluent Chinese, questioned the pathetic woman at the gate, word by word. Why should he stay away from his home his whole life just for you? Isabella's bloodshot eyes snapped toward her. Who do you think you are? Vivian took a step forward, her presence just as imposing. It doesn't matter who I am. What matters is that you are a worthless, cheating piece of trash. Your devotion is meaningless. Isabella lunged forward, trying to grab my hand. Felix, come back to me. I can give you anything. My business, everything I have, I'll make Evan disappear, I'll send him abroad. We can go back to how things were, okay? I shook off her touch in disgust and reminded her of a cold, hard fact with a sneer. Isabella, do you have any idea how much of your business has been infiltrated by Evan's family? Are you even in charge anymore? The color drained from her face. I pressed on, my voice as cold as ice. If you were really in charge, you never would have agreed to your parents' demand to marry Evan in the first place. The last of her pretenses was torn away. All her devotion, all her promises, were built on a foundation of sand she couldn't control. A single gust of wind, and it all came crashing down. Isabella staggered back a few steps. Then, in the pouring rain, she turned and disappeared into the darkness. I thought Isabella's breakdown would be the end of this drama. I never imagined it was just the beginning of something much bloodier. Isabella found out the truth about the child's parentage. That discovery was the final straw that broke her sanity. She couldn't confront anyone openly, so she stewed in it alone. Eventually, she started staying out all night, drinking heavily. Then, one drunken night, she unleashed all her resentment and bitterness on Evan. She sent the child away by force. She beat Evan so badly he had to run back to his own family for help, covered in blood. But his family's response was cold. "We don't interfere in your marriage." A fine way of not interfering. They were just afraid of tearing things apart with the Vance family and jeopardizing the tangled financial interests between them. Evan was sent back to that hell. The abuse, which started as a one-time thing, became a regular occurrence. Finally, he couldn't take it anymore. The man who was once so calculating, so obsessed with fame and fortune, chose the most brutal way to take them both down when all hope was lost. He gathered all the evidence he had on the Vance and Evan families, tax evasion, fraudulent accounting, and sent it all to the IRS. It was a devastating blow. Isabella completely lost her mind. Another rainy night, she grabbed Evan by the throat and dragged him to the top of the second-floor staircase, her face contorted with rage. "You ruined me. You're not getting out of this alive either." The next second, she let go. Evan tumbled down the stairs like a broken doll. I saw it all on the news the next day. Isabella was arrested for aggravated assault. Evan was paralyzed from the neck down and would spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair. Both families were investigated for massive tax fraud. Their empires, once so mighty, collapsed overnight, and most of their once untouchable business assets, after being liquidated, naturally flowed to Max's family company. When I called Max, he was in the middle of signing a new partnership agreement. His voice on the other end of the line was triumphant. "Felix, you believe me now? Some people always have to pay their debts." 6 months later, Vivian and I set our wedding date. Before we left the country, we made a trip to the prison. Through the thick bulletproof glass, I saw Isabella again. She was wearing a blue and white striped prison uniform that hung loosely on her frame. Her hair had been cut short, and she wore no makeup, stripped of all her sophisticated disguises. Those once captivating eyes that had drawn me in were now cloudy and empty, like two pools of stagnant water. Her dull gaze focused on my face for a long time before she seemed to recognize me. There was no trace of her former queenly demeanor, nor the desperate madness of that rainy night. "Do you regret it?" I asked her. "Regret hurting me? Regret chasing me? Or regret destroying everyone's lives, including her own?" Her lips moved, but no sound came out. I didn't have the patience to wait. "Well, that's it. I'm leaving." Just as I turned to go, her voice, raspy like sandpaper, came through the receiver. "Why did you have to come back?" The same question again. I stopped but didn't turn around. I just put the phone back to my ear. "If I didn't come back, how could I make you disappear from my world completely?" The other end of the line was dead silent. Then, I heard her ragged breathing. "What do you mean?" She laughed, a low chuckle that grew into a crazed cackle. "What do you mean?" "Felix." She slammed herself against the glass, banging her forehead against it, her eyes bloodshot as she stared at my back. "It was you. You sent my flight information to Evan. Didn't you? That scene at the airport, you wanted him to see it. Didn't you? All of it, it was all your design. It was all you." I ignored the madness behind me. 6 months ago, when I received that email from Isabella saying, "I'll come pick you up at the airport," I had, in fact, forwarded it to Evan. I didn't add any text, just a smiley face. I just wanted to mess with him, to let him know that the marriage he thought was so secure was nothing but a joke to me. But so much of what happened after that wasn't my doing. It was Isabella's greed, Evan's jealousy and scheming, and Mr. Vance's interference that pushed them all off the cliff. All I did was loosen a rock that was already about to fall. All I can say is, I have them to thank. Thank you, Evan. Thank you, Mr. Vance. Without them pushing things along, it might have taken me a lot more effort to finally get rid of Isabella, that leech who had burrowed under my skin. The prison gates closed slowly behind me. The sun was shining brightly outside. Vivian was standing under a nearby camphor tree. She was wearing a simple white dress, and when she saw me, her eyes curved into a smile. Sunlight filtered through the layers of leaves, casting dappled shadows on her. Gentle and peaceful. The light shifted, beautifully strange, yet breathtaking. It was my new beginning,